you noticed how we associate certain places with certain people? To show you what I mean, let's try a quick thought experiment. I'll say the name of 6 places and you say the name of the person that immediately comes to mind. Here we go. Ready? Graceland. Yep, Elvis. Buckingham Palace. You've got it, the Queen. Stratford upon Avon. That's right, Shakespeare. Transylvania. Spot on, Dracula. Waterloo. No, not ABBA, Napoleon. And lastly, Hogwarts. Yes, Harry Potter, although I will also accept Dumbledore. Have you noticed how we associate certain places with certain people? And we do the same at Christmas. And the carol, O Little Town of Bethlehem, capitalises on that. Today we instinctively associate Bethlehem with the baby Jesus. But if Jesus hadn't been born there, we'd probably never have heard of Bethlehem. And that's because Bethlehem was little more than a small hamlet during the time of Jesus, with a population of probably no more than 300 people. It was known as the City of David because it was where Israel's greatest king, King David, had been born 1,000 years previously. But that was in the dim and distant past. King David was more associated in the time of Jesus with Jerusalem, the capital city, 5 miles north of Bethlehem, the place where David had built his palace. Jerusalem was a city fit for a king, whereas Bethlehem, well, it wasn't the sort of place you associated with a king. And yet on that first Christmas night, that's exactly what it became. When God's promised king, the King of Kings, entered the world, and his birth changed everything. The first verse of O Little Town of Bethlehem concludes, "The hopes and fears of all the years are met in you tonight." And the rest of the carol explains how this baby from Bethlehem would go on to live up to that. Verse 3 says this baby would impart to human hearts the blessings of heaven. Verse 4 says this baby would do that by casting out our sin and entering into our hearts to abide with us as Emmanuel, God with us. This baby had come to fulfill all our greatest hopes and banish all our greatest fears. However, as we read on in the Gospel accounts, beyond the birth of Jesus, we discover a twist to the Christmas tale, because this baby would cast out our sin not by his birth, but by his death. He would be laid in a manger as a baby, but he would grow up to be laid on a cross, where he would make it possible for us to be reunited with God by taking our sin on himself and paying our penalty in our place. You see, Bethlehem wouldn't be the final place associated with Jesus' name. No, a cross at Calvary would also bear his name. It would be at the cross that we would see God's love most fully displayed. It would be at the cross that Jesus would declare, "It is finished." The mission he had come to do had been accomplished. This Christmas, can I encourage you to continue your journey beyond Bethlehem to the cross? Discover for yourself how Jesus can meet all your greatest hopes and banish all your greatest fears because of what he did there.